This race was so insane it became the darkest moment in history. And I'm gonna show you even more insane races. Like when one driver made a silly mistake, it put his car on fire.
Terrible.
Or the brutal error made by one driver, which ruined the entire race. Just to show you the most insane races of all time. Starting with this driver's crash, because it was so brutal it literally stopped the race.
Oh, it let go, hit the Armco, spun around a couple of times and then into the Tech Pro barrier.
Damn. But if you thought that was horrific, wait till you see what happened here. I believe this is the most horrific thing ever. Because just a few laps after race start, this driver Sophia Floersch lost control of her car and ended up in a horrible position. This stopped the race, but luckily, Sophia survived. Later, we'll show you the most insane race, which created one of the darkest moments in history. But first, check out what happened here in the UK. This group of 5 protesters stuck their bodies to the track while the race was going on. I mean, 2 cars even flew past them. That's crazy. But not as crazy as the incident in the US, because what happened there changed the world of racing forever. 2 days before the 2005 US Grand Prix, this driver, Ralf Schumacher, crashed heavily in practice. It seemed the left rear tire was the problem that caused the crash. Then, about an hour later, about 3 other teams also had the same tire problem. So, it became obvious that Michelin tires were the issue. And after Michelin flew them back to France for analysis, they discovered that the unique combination of loads and stresses caused by the track was the reason for the failures. This forced Michelin to advise its teams not to run more than 10 consecutive laps, which obviously isn't enough for a full race. Clearly, some change was required from the FIA. But what the FIA actually did was something no one saw coming. And we'll get back to it. Meanwhile, you gotta check out the devastating incident that happened in Belgium, especially since it could have been avoided easily. The Spa-Francorchamps, one of the most dangerous tracks in the world, was soaking wet in 2021. So everyone thought the qualifying sessions would be suspended. But the session still happened, and thus, catastrophe.
Did the McLaren go round?
Yes, it did. Lando Norris has had a big off.
Is he okay?
Luckily, Norris survived, and since the heavy rain also happened on race day, the race did get cancelled. Good move, FIA. But what wasn't good at all was this driver's driving, because it was so bad that even the safety car couldn't be saved. Now that's some next level driving. But seriously, that stupid move could have ended up horribly. But we can't say the same thing for that tire incident in the US, because horrible things did happen there. The FIA tried many ways to solve the issue. They even found a few alternatives to eliminate the problem, but due to limited time and a lot of rejections inside the FIA, none of them worked. And so, they declared that the race was still on. Race was on, and 14 of the 20 cars are on Michelin tires. Clearly, it was about to be the race of a lifetime, but that didn't happen, because what did happen on race day was something even the FIA couldn't believe, and we'll get back to it. But first, check out the craziness Ferrari did during this pit stop.
Oh no! That's a big mistake, Massa's gone! Not for the first time, Ferrari's lighting system and their...
This made them lose the winning race. Man, I love Ferrari. They just love to play with fire, literally. And this driver also dealt with fire, but in a way which shocked the entire world.
Glimpse of it from Verstappen. Oh, and fuel! That's the first time we've had a fuel splash. Oh my goodness me!
Terrific. Greatest fear of everyone up and down the pit lane.
Luckily, nothing major happened, and so the race continued. But you know what's even more insane? When this driver was racing at full speed, suddenly he realized that his car's on fire. Now, some drivers would have stopped the car before getting out, but not him, as he literally jumped out while the car was still going. Crazy, right? But this guy, Johnny Herbert, is also crazy, since he decided to show some awesome skills.
Slow down, come back the other way. Oh God, I can do this. He's all slowing up.
What goes around comes around, I guess. Now, before I show you what happened in the US on that race day, you gotta check out this race start first, because it was simply devastating.
Oh, this is terrible. This is the worst start for a Grand Prix that I have ever seen in the race. 13 cars got involved in this crash. 13.
Safe to say, the race was just disastrous. But not as disastrous as what happened to this driver, because he lost a race due to bad blood. Fernando Alonso and Lewis Hamilton were strong teammates at the 2007 Hungarian Grand Prix, and since both of them were also title contenders, ultimately they became rivals. So getting even a slight advantage was highly important. At the final stage of qualifying, both drivers had to pit in order to put in their best laps, but the time remaining was minimal. So what did Alonso do when he was the first to get in the pits?
It's Hamilton queuing up behind him. Yep, they want him out of there. Now Alonso's not getting on with it. Only a minute and 40 to go.
He blocked him for 10 whole seconds. This costed Hamilton the pole position. Now, some say Alonso did this because Hamilton denied to give him the extra boost during qualifying, since it was his turn to get it. But regardless, ultimately it was Alonso who paid the biggest price, as the FIA gave him a 5-place penalty, and so Hamilton won the race anyways. What do you think about this? Did Alonso deserve the penalty? Both were definitely making clever moves for sure though, but not as clever as the moves F1 teams made on that US Grand Prix race day. Since the FIA still went ahead with the race, even though Michelin advised all its drivers not to run more than 10 laps, all those drivers decided not to race. This made 14 drivers come back straight into the pits and retire.
You know our plan is for the start. Straight in the pits, please, mate.
Clearly, fans were annoyed as they only saw 6 drivers racing. Only 6 drivers for 73 laps. Now that's a boring race. But nothing was boring in this US race, because at the end, this driver Ross Chastain pulled a move out of a video game.
Ross Chastain used the wall all the way around this racetrack to race his way into the championship.
No one could believe what they just witnessed. I mean, you don't see that every day. And now, the moment you've been waiting for. The most insane race in this video, which even became one of the darkest moments in history. Ayrton Senna and Alain Prost are 2 of the biggest figures in racing, and created one of the greatest rivalries too. So when Senna was leading the 1990 championship by just 9 points, it's safe to say the championship battle was close. And to make things even more exciting, this battle went down to the Japanese Grand Prix. Now, what's exciting about that was that Senna and Prost already had a brief history in Japan, because just a year ago, both were again fighting for the championship. But things got controversial because the 2 men crashed in the race, which forced Prost to retire. But even though Senna won the race, and based on points, the championship as well, he still lost, as the stewards disqualified him from that race. This ultimately made Prost the 1989 world champion. So, now that Senna had the chance to get his redemption, and that too in the same Grand Prix, obviously his determination to win was heightened. Senna took P1 in qualifying, but he was still under pressure as he was forced to start on the dirty side of the track. And even though he protested it, nothing happened. So, at the beginning of the race, Prost got into the lead because he got a better start and was on the racing line. But Senna was having none of it this time, and so what happened next shocked everyone.
Senna is trying to go through on the inside, and it's happened immediately. This is amazing.
This led both of them to retire. And since Senna was the one leading the championship this time, he became the world champion. Insane, right? But you know what else is insane? The most unbelievable moments in F1 history, like the time when a driver won a race without even finishing it, or the moment when a championship leader intentionally crashed into his rival, which changed the world of F1 forever. I know you want to know more about this, so just click right here.